Hi there, and welcome to this series of videos on training worship leaders in the Antioch Network. We're going to start with the question, what is worship? Because if we're going to lead it, we need to know what it is. Our starting point here is Romans chapter 12, verse 1, where the Apostle Paul writes, "Therefore, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship." We learn two important things about worship from this verse. Number one, worship is a response. Paul starts with therefore, which means he's looking back to something, and that something is God's mercy. In other words, everything Paul has been writing about in Romans up to this point. Creation, the call of Abraham and his family, and above all, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. So our worship, our offering, does not begin with our action, our initiative. Worship is always a response to God's action, what God has done. So really, in many ways, we're not the worship leaders at all. Jesus is the worship leader. Worship is a response to God's mercy. Second, worship involves the whole of life. Paul says, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. And singing together uses our bodies, our lungs, our vocal cords, our tongues, our arms and our hands. But singing isn't the only thing we do with our bodies. Cooking, working, dancing, kicking a football, eating a curry is all embodied. Our whole life is embodied. So when Paul says, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, he's saying, offer all of it. Wherever you go, whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever you say, nothing left out. Offer all of it. So let's put that together. Worship is a response to God's mercy that involves offering the whole of life. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, that's all great, but what does it have to do with singing in church? Three things. Number one, the presence of Jesus. Jesus said, where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there I am with them. Jesus is with us all the time, but he promises his presence in a special way to the gathered church. Number 2, the work of the Spirit through song. Ephesians 5:18-19 says, be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit. Sing and make music from your heart to the Lord. And in these verses, Paul seems to assume a connection between the Holy Spirit, songs, and the human heart. If we're going to offer our bodies in worship, then we need God to shape our hearts, to shape our emotions and our will by his Spirit. And it seems that God often does that through sung worship. Number 3, church is training. What we do here in the gathered church trains us for what we do there, everywhere else. When we sing together in church, we practice remembering God's blessings and mercy to us, we practice welcoming his presence, and we practice responding and offering ourselves to him. All of that trains us for the rest of life, to remember God, to live in God's presence, and to seek God's kingdom wherever we are. So let's sum up. Worship is a response to God's mercy. Worship involves offering the whole of life, and sung worship in church trains the people of God to worship God in the whole of life.